So this is a question that I actually saw on one of the social media platforms. It's quite an interesting one, which is what is the return of this particular function? So we've got this function here that says my string function basically, which is a function to return a string. And the beginning of it, we create this variable and we assign it the value of Python like this. Note the space here, but that's to create a space in front of the is. And then from this message, we construct a new message by saying that new message is equal to, is assigned the value of message, which is then Python, and then is, and then plus, and then message. So Python is Python. And then in the line below, on line number 9, it's got new message dot replace, and then replace message with great. So we think that we're replacing message, or at least message is Python. So what we think we have is a string that looks something like this. New message is equal to, and then because we've replaced Python with message here in the string, it's something like Python, and then we've got the is over here. So we just take that out, so we can joining that up. And then again, we've got Python over here from the top. So that's what we think that we've got. And then we are replacing Python with great. So if we were to replace the Pythons with great, like this, Python in the space with a great actually, so it's that. And then we would have great over here as well. So we should be left with great is great. But in fact, when we run this piece of code, and this was a bit that surprised me, I was like, I'll have to debug it and think about it. If I hit F5 to actually run the code, we get, oops, sorry, because I put great is great, we don't actually get, I'll comment this line out, the line that shouldn't be there, that's what we thought we should get. When we actually run the code, we get Python is Python, and I'm kind of like breaking my head because we know that line number 9 is exactly this, and in fact we could sort of like break it down and get it to that point. But because I believe here, could we not, I know we haven't done the replacement, but that's what we're thinking that we've achieved at, sorry, not that point, but this point where we've actually done the replacement. So we should have great is great, but we don't. We get Python is Python. So how do we, or why are we getting that? And actually, like after a few minutes of thinking about it, it's like it even caught me, but after a few minutes of thinking about it, if I hover over this replace function, we see that the replace function actually returns something. We're expecting to get something back. And actually, all we've done is we've done the new message dot replace, but we haven't assigned it to a variable. So what we should actually do is say like the result of that is new message. The result of new message dot replace is something, and then we're going to return this value. So something like this, and then this whole thing is the great is great, and it will return and come back as correct. So in our options here, we had Python is Python, and that's actually what that threw back. So the answer to the above line to the first line of code without this R in here was Python equals Python. It was A. And we were expecting, or at least we wanted to get B, like intuitively in our mind, we wanted to get B back. And then there's a couple of extras thrown in, and sort of like things to think about. Is it Python is great or great is Python if only one got replaced? But what we actually do get back, if we do replace the new message dot replace, we assign that to a variable, the variable called R, and then return R, then we would get great equals great. So actually the answer initially was Python equals Python, and if we do a replacement, then we get great is great. And also we could ignore this R, we could take that out, so like X is totally away, and paste it over here. Some people do that. We could actually return all of that, which is now assigned like the answer. And if we did it like this and ran F5 as well, I believe that we should get great is great too, that way. So in the original question, the answer was actually A, Python is Python. So it's just something to be aware of, that the replace method is actually returning something, and therefore we have to assign that returned value back to a variable. So an interesting, a tricky, interesting question, and that is the replace method on strings in Python. So thanks for watching. Thumbs up and likes to the video if you can.